The last bell. It was supposed to be a celebration. The last day of high school. Rain poured down like a sheet of needles over the courtyard, drenching everything in sight. Most of the students didn't care. We were too excited. Laughing, shouting, throwing notebooks in the air like a final goodbye. Teachers waved from under umbrellas. Everyone was going home. Free. But not me. I had to go back in. I'd left my sketchbook in the art room. I remember standing at the double doors, watching the last few kids disappear into the foggy street, their shadows shrinking in the downpour. Then I turned and stepped inside, and everything changed. The second the doors shut behind me, the world went silent. No more echoing voices, no slamming lockers, no announcements. Just the low hum of the building, and the soft, steady sound of rain tapping against the windows like fingers drumming on a coffin lid. I made my way down the hallway, the soles of my shoes squelching with each step. The lights above flickered, just once, but long enough to notice the buzzing sound had stopped. No humming now, just rain, and my heartbeat. When I reached the art room, the door was wide open, which made no sense. I always closed it behind me. Always. The room inside was dim, only the light from the hallway spilling in. My sketchbook sat on the front table, perfectly centered, almost waiting for me. I walked over and flipped it open. That's when I saw it. Every page was black, covered in scribbled charcoal, pressed so hard it had torn the paper in places. Except the last page, that one was blank. Except for a word written in red ink. Stay. I didn't write that. I know I didn't. Then I heard it. Chalk, dragging across a blackboard. A long, high-pitched screech. It came from the classroom across the hall. I stepped out slowly. The hallway felt colder now. The air was wet somehow, like walking into a basement. I crept to the edge of the door and peeked through the glass pane. There was someone inside, facing the chalkboard, writing with slow, jerky strokes. I couldn't see their face, only the back of a long, soaked coat and stringy black hair hanging down. The chalkboard filled, line by line, with one word. Stay, 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 over, and over, and over. Then they stopped. Without turning around, they slowly tilted their head to the side, like they knew I was watching. I ran. Down the hallway, past lockers that felt like they were closing on their own. My footsteps grew louder, faster, matching the pounding of the rain against the windows. I turned the corner, slammed into the main exit. Locked. I pulled the handle hard. Nothing. Then the lights started to shut off behind me. Pop. 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 One after another, like dominoes falling into darkness. That's when the whispers began. First faint. Then louder. My name. Emily. Emily. It came from everywhere. From the vents. The lockers. The walls. Soft. Slow. Smiling. I turned around, and they were there. The students. But not the ones who graduated. The ones who vanished. The ones no one talked about. The ones who just disappeared. They stood in the hallway. Still, pale, wet. Their clothes clung to their skin, soaked with rainwater that dripped onto the floor even though they were inside. Their mouths twisted into two wide smiles, their eyes hollow, and all of them looking at me. No blinking, no breathing. Then the bell rang. One long, low ring that vibrated in my chest. But we didn't have bells on the last day. The lights behind the students flickered once more, and suddenly they were closer. Only a few feet away. I stepped back. My hand fumbled at the door again. Still locked. I looked up. They were all pointing at me now, each of them, and whispering one word in unison. Stay. I don't remember screaming, but I know I did. Then everything went black. I woke up in the janitor's closet, soaked, shivering, The floor beneath me was wet. My sketchbook sat on my chest. Every page now had drawings, but not mine. Each one was a charcoal sketch of me, standing in that hallway, surrounded by those faces. In every drawing, their hands were getting closer to me, until the final page, where I stood smiling, just like them. The school refused to talk about it. I told them, showed them the book. They claimed I had a breakdown, that it was graduation anxiety. Even when I said the classroom was covered in red chalk writing, even when I showed the damage to the back door, where I tried to break the glass. They repainted everything the next day, but they never answered my question. Where did the missing students go? And why? Why does it still rain every time I pass by the school, even on days the sky is clear?
The forgotten locker. It was the last day of school. The hallways echoed with excitement, students shouting, lockers slamming, teachers sighing in relief. But for me, it was different. That morning, I woke up with a sense of dread, like something heavy was sitting on my chest. I chalked it up to stress. Exams were over, and summer was about to begin. But something felt off. I arrived early. Too early. The school felt strange when it was empty, hollow. My footsteps were the only sound, apart from the rain tapping against the high windows. I walked past my locker and noticed something weird. Locker #392 was wide open. Nobody used it. It had been empty for years. I stopped. Something inside compelled me to walk over. I peeked inside. It was completely dark, like the back of the locker never ended. Then I saw a notebook. Old, moldy, and wet. I picked it up. The cover read, "Do not open." Of course, I opened it. The pages were full of drawings. Horrible ones. Faces twisted in pain, eyes scratched out, mouths stretched too wide. Each drawing had a name scribbled under it. Names I recognized. Kids who went missing over the years. One was Mason. He sat next to me in 7th grade, vanished without a trace. Another was Lily. She was found drowned in the school pool, but smiling. I slammed the notebook shut. Suddenly, I wasn't alone. I felt it, eyes on me. I turned. The hallway was empty. Or so I thought. I shoved the notebook into my backpack and headed to class. But all day, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was following me. I'd catch glimpses, someone standing just at the edge of the hall, always watching, never moving. By lunchtime, I'd had enough. I took the notebook to the janitor's closet, figuring I'd throw it in the incinerator. But when I opened my backpack, it was gone. In its place was a photo, an old Polaroid, of me, standing in front of locker #392. Taken that morning. I hadn't seen anyone. I hadn't posed. But there it was. My face was blurry. My eyes were missing. Panicked, I went back to the locker. It was closed again. I tried to open it, locked. No one else was around. Not a teacher. Not a student. The school was full just minutes before. Now it was dead silent. And then I heard it. "Why did you open it?" A voice behind me. Cold. Whispering. I turned, and there was no one. Just a long, empty hallway. Then the locker creaked open on its own. Inside, the notebook had returned. But this time, the last page had changed. It was a sketch of me. Today's date was written underneath. I stumbled back, tripped, and fell hard. My phone flew out of my pocket and slid across the floor. The screen was cracked, but still on. It was open to the camera. The lens was active, and I saw something in the frame, behind me. A face. Smiling. I turned around, nothing. I picked up my phone and bolted. I didn't look back. I didn't stop. I just ran. Through the rain. Through the silence. I didn't even hear the final bell. I made it home. Locked every door. Every window. But that night, I had a dream. I was in the school. Alone, and every locker door slowly creaked open in sync, revealing nothing but darkness inside. All except one. Locker hash 392. From it, the notebook floated toward me, and the whisper returned. You belong here now. I woke up gasping. My backpack was on the floor. The notebook was inside it. I tried to burn it. Drown it, tear it. It always comes back. And every night, I hear the whisper. Every night, I see the sketch of me changing, decomposing, smiling. Summer never came for me. I'm still in that hallway, every time I close my eyes. If you ever see locker hash 392 open, don't look inside. Don't pick it up. And whatever you do, don't read the last page. The last desk. It was the last day of school. Everyone was celebrating, hallways buzzing, lockers slamming, students shouting with joy. Summer was calling. But for me, that day was different. My name is Jordan, and I had detention. I'd gotten caught sneaking out early the day before, typical stuff. But instead of suspension, I was told to report to room 109, the oldest classroom in the school, right after the final bell. I'd never been in that room before. No one really had. It had been closed off for years, but apparently someone had requested it for detention that day. I wasn't thrilled, but I figured I'd do my time, play on my phone, and leave. What I didn't expect was what really happened. What I saw. And what followed me home. The final bell rang. The halls emptied. I made my way to room 109. The hallway leading to it was eerily quiet, almost too quiet. Like the rest of the building had exhaled and died. The lights above flickered. My footsteps echoed louder than they should have. Room 109 looked like it hadn't been touched in decades. Dust caked the windows. The smell of old paper and mildew filled the air. There were 20 desks, all lined perfectly, but something was off. The last desk in the back corner, the one closest to the boarded-up windows, looked wrong. It was darker, somehow, like it didn't belong. A note on the chalkboard read, "Sit. Wait. Do not move desks." Creepy, right? I sat in the second row, pulling out my phone. No service. Of course. I tried the school's Wi-Fi, nothing. Just as I was about to get up and move to the window for better signal, the door slammed shut behind me. Hard. Like someone had kicked it. I ran to it, turned the knob. It was locked. Panic crept in. But I told myself it was probably just some janitor who didn't realize I was inside. I knocked. No answer. I waited. Time passed. The light from the windows grew dimmer. It wasn't that late, maybe 3:45, but it felt like the sun had vanished. Then, it started. I heard the sound of scratching. Not loud. Soft, faint. Coming from the back. I turned. The last desk, the dark one, was vibrating slightly. I thought maybe a mouse was under it. But then the chair pulled out. Slowly. On its own. I stood frozen. The chair scraped loudly, echoing across the room. Then it stopped. Silence again. I took a step toward it. Just one. And then the desk itself moved. Just a few inches. Toward me. I backed up, stumbling into the teacher's desk. My breath quickened. I blinked, hard. When I looked again, the desk was back in place. What the hell? I pulled the teacher's chair close and sat, facing the class. Watching. waiting. The lights overhead flickered again. Then, one by one, they began to shut off. Pop, 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 until the only light left came from the far end of the room, the corner with the last desk. I didn't move. I didn't breathe. And then I saw it. A shadow. Not cast on the wall, no. It was standing in the aisle, facing me, no features. Just a dark silhouette. Long arms. Head tilted unnaturally to one side. It didn't move. Neither did I. And then the whispering started. So soft I thought I was imagining it. It wasn't in English. It wasn't in any language I'd ever heard, just whispers, circling, growing louder. The shadow stepped forward. I stood. I screamed. I bolted for the door. Still locked. Behind me, I heard the scraping again. The desk. It was following me. I turned to see it moving on its own, fast, toward me. The shadow just behind it, grinning now. Yes, it had a face. A mouth too wide, eyes hollow and gleaming. I pounded on the door. Screamed again. And just when I thought it was over, the door clicked. I fell through it, landing hard in the hallway. Light flooded over me. Voices. Mr. Gray, the custodian, standing there with wide eyes. "What are you doing in there?" he asked. I had detention," I stammered. "Room 109, someone said. Room 109? He looked at me like I'd gone mad. "Kid, that room's been closed since the fire." "The fire?" He nodded. "Back in '82. A student got trapped during detention. Some say he started it himself. Others say something else did. But no one uses that room anymore." I turned. The door I came out of. Gone. Just a solid, brick wall. I left that school without another word. Told myself it was a dream. A hallucination. But then the nightmares began. Every night I saw the desk. The shadow. The whispers. Last week, I got a package in the mail. No return address. Inside, a small piece of scorched wood, with my name carved into it. I burned it, threw away the ashes. But last night, I woke up to find it sitting on my desk. Unburned, untouched. The whispers are back. And I think I brought something back with me. Something that was never meant to leave that room. So if you ever get told to report to room 109, don't go, no matter what. Because once you sit in the last desk, you never leave alone.